Okay, today we're going to talk about patterns and tables. And y'all, I'm filming this in my car in the dance studio parking lot, so hopefully it's not too shaky. Okay, let's look at this first slide in the top right. It says, write a variable expression to describe the rule for each sequence and then find the 100th term. Okay, so what goes in the first blank, it says here, is what's being added every time. And then this says what term 0 would be. So let's look first. What's being added every time here? 1. And then if I backed it up, if this is term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, what would come before 27? 26. So our expression is n, or 1n, plus 26. And then to find the 100th term, you put a 100 in here. So we were going to do 1 times 100 plus 26. Oh, you can't see that. So 100 plus 26 is 126. Okay, look down at number 2. Okay, on number 2, we go 6, 8, 10, 12. So what are we doing every time? You're adding 2. And if I were to back it up, what would come before 6? 4. So 2n plus 4. Hold on, I gotta fix this real quick. Okay, so 2n plus 4. And so if we put a 100, or sorry, it's asking you for the 50th term. So 2 times 50 is 100, plus 4 would be 104. Okay, let's look at this middle one. It goes 10, 20, 30, 40. So what are we adding every time? 10. And if I backed it up, what number would come before 10? 40, 30, 20, 10, 0. Right? So our expression is really just 10n. And then if I asked you to find, well, what would be the 33rd number? Okay, if we had to go and count out, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. What would be 33rd? 330. 10 times 33. Okay, and then on the bottom, it's going negative 24, negative 36, negative 48, negative 60. So when we're trying to figure out what's happening every time, think about like what you did yesterday. You can subtract. Negative 36 minus negative 24, it's going down 12. And if I were to back it up, what would come first? Negative 12. So the expression is negative 12n minus 12, or you could write it as plus negative. It means the same thing. And so the 100th term would be negative 12 times 100, which is negative 1200 minus 12, negative 1212. Okay, and feel free to use your calculator. If you need to use your calculator, that is absolutely fine. Okay, let's look at this bottom right. So what's happening every time? We're adding 2. And if I were to back it up, what would come before negative 2? Negative 4. So 2 times n minus 4. So when it asks you to find the 100th term, you're going to do 2 times 100, which is 200, minus 4, 196. So every single time, what goes in the first blank is what you're adding, and then what goes in the second blank is what would come before the first term. So turn your page over, and let's look at this one on the top left. So every single time, you're adding 30. And if I were to back it up, what would come before 60 is 30. So now what we're going to do is our expression is 30n plus 30. And if it asks you to find the 70th term, that means that for n, I put a 70. So 30 times 70 plus 30. 2,130. I think I did it in my head. You can check it with your calculator. Okay, and then let's look at this next one. Every single time, Is it going up 4, down 4? What's happening? It's going down 4. And then if we backed it up, what would come before -5? -1. Use your calculator if you need to, right? -17 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So -4n minus 1. And your 99th term would be -4 times 99, which would be -396 minus 1 is -397. Right? I did -4 times 99 and then subtracted 1. Okay, look at this one. Sorry, there's traffic noise. Okay, on number 8, every time we're going to subtract 5. We're going down 5. And if I backed it up, what would come before 70? 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. So my expression is -5n plus 75. And then when it asks you for the 100th term, we're going to do -5 times 100 is -500 plus 75 is -425. Okay, so why don't you try these last two, pause your video, try these last two on your own, and then come back and we'll check it. Okay, on number 9, it's going up 1 every time, and it would be -21, so n minus 21, or you could say 1n minus 21. It means the same thing. And so if we're finding the 100th term, 100 minus 21 is 79. And then the bottom left, it's going up 3 every time. If you backed it up, it would be -1. So 3n minus 1. The 60th term would be 3 times 60 is 180. Minus 1 is 179. Okay, so on the bottom right, it says 1 month's average price for regular gas is $3.25 per gallon. Using the relationship, make a table that shows the price for using 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 gallons of gas. Okay, so we're going to put gallons and money. So then it asks us, what if we use 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10 gallons? Let me shut my door. Okay, if I use 2 gallons of gas, that's $6.50 because it was $3.25 times 2. If I used 4 gallons of gas, that's $3.25 times 4, which is going to be $13. If I used 6 gallons of gas, $3.25 times 6 is going to be $19.50. If I used 8 gallons of gas, that's going to be $26. And 10 gallons of gas is going to be $32.50. And then the other thing that I want to mention before we're done with this video is I want to talk about, this is your homework page, I want to talk about this one. Okay, it says a pattern of squares is shown. Sketch the 4th and 5th figures in this pattern. So this is figure 1, figure 2, and figure 3. So when it asks you to sketch the 4th and 5th, I want to know, look at the pattern, what would come next, the next 2 shapes. And then it says make a table comparing the figure number to the number of squares. So that means I want you to do like figure number and then squares. So we have figure 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to draw 4 and 5. So what you're going to look at is like figure number 1 has 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Figure number 2 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're counting the squares, and then you're going to find the pattern. Oh, that should go down here. And so when it says write an expression for the number of squares in the nth figure, it's blank n plus blank. So how much is it changing every time, just like on your notes? And then plus, what would figure 0 be? If you backed it up 1, what would be in the very, very first figure?